Well, hello and welcome to the AFC Virtual Travel Show. My name is Will Reece and I'm the marketing rep for AFC Vacations. Thank you for spending time with us and joining us today as we'll be covering many of the fall tours and train programs that we're offering. We'll also touch base on our domestic and international guaranteed departures for 2022. And we have some new dates for 2023 to discuss as well. But we're coming up on our busiest season of travel with fall departures heading out left and right to destinations all over the world. So come join us on one of our many tours heading out the door. Now, AFC Vacations is all about real people and real service, and our team of travel professionals have been with us for quite some time, some over 20 years, and they know our passengers, our products, and service levels, and they're outstanding at helping you plan and experience the many destinations we offer. So AFC means affordable first class. So we focus on the best possible experience and best value for your tours. We've been in business for 40 years in 2022 and are excited for another 40 years plus. Now, as I talk to AFC travelers from all over the country, the one thing that's come up consistently is the home airport pickup. So we've been providing pickup from your home to the airport and back for over 25 years, and it continues to separate us from our competitors. It keeps you from worrying about where to park, what time you need to leave, or any of the other concerns you might have getting to and from the airport. We take care of it all. We also have an incredible team of tour managers that work so hard to make your trip special. It truly is their goal to make your tour magical in whatever way they can. And they're extremely knowledgeable in the areas we send them and do an unbelievable job of researching the different destinations and places we travel to add that little extra. So we have several specials that we're offering today. I'll go over them in more detail, but we're actually reducing that deposit. Not only $250, we'll bring it down to $199 for today. I'll talk more about these as we move along, but again, remember the savings code ABOARD. And if you're ready to go now, these upcoming tours will take you anywhere you want to go. You can see there are numerous trips in the next 3 to 4 months that are scheduled, and you can see how these trips are starting to fill up or are sold out already. So many of our departures have very limited space as folks are getting back out there. So don't wait to book your tour, as many of these dates are filling up and you may miss the date you want to travel on. Now, our mystery tours are some of our most memorable trips, and we have Deb, Chris, and Brad running these in 2022, and soon to announce some more mystery tours coming up here in the next month or so. But these trips are a huge success and sell out nearly every departure. But please remember, just because the mystery tour says Encore, we have over 60 mystery tour destinations, and it could still be new to you. So this is where our staff can help you pick the right departure for you. And how they work is when you book, you'll be advised how to pack, the average weather in the destination, and some helpful hints. About 3 weeks prior to departure, you'll be advised what time your flight leaves on which specific airline. And there are certain documents in your pre-tour packet that if you want to enjoy the mystery experience, you won't open them. So they're marked as such. Once you check in, you'll get your boarding pass and find out where your first destination is. And the tour manager will meet you in baggage claim on arrival. And over the course of the trip, they'll reveal tour components or give you clues along the way. So this is one of our most fun and enjoyable experiences, are our mystery tours. Now, as part of our train theme, I'll talk about one of our great tours, which is the Black Hills and Badlands tour. And this has a fantastic train component with the 1880 steam train through the Black Hills. Not only that, this is a great Unpack Once tour. So we spend time in Rapid City for 6 nights at the same hotel, so you can settle in and get comfortable. And each day we go out on different excursions and adventures, whether it's the Badlands National Park out to the east to learn all about the geology out there, the Mammoth site to the south, or our time at Mount Rushmore. So we see Mount Rushmore both in the day and the night. And then we also traveled up to Devil's Tower, and you can see that beautiful monolith in the bottom right corner. But one of my favorite components of this trip is our time in Custer State Park. And we actually get on board several Jeeps and head out through the park with several hundred acres and hundreds of buffalo that roam throughout the park. Now, it's all one specific herd that the park manages, and they also do a buffalo roundup at another point in the year. But this is a really great experience to learn all about the buffalo, their original lands, and how far they've spread out across America. So this is a September 7th departure for the Black Hills and Badlands. Then we have our most popular West Coast trip. That is our Great Trains and Grand Canyons tour. And this starts with 5 nights in the beautiful resort area of Sedona. So we have several properties that we stay at there, but again, a great Unpack Once tour. And one of the most popular excursions off of this is heading up to the Grand Canyon. So we start out by driving up to Williams and through the beautiful stretch of Oak Creek Canyon. And this is just north of the town of Sedona. Beautiful stretch of natural landscape and a beautiful river flowing past us. And as we make our way up to Williams, we board the Grand Canyon Railway. And from there, it's about a 2.5 hour journey to the Bright Angel Lodge. So we get off the train just there at the south rim of the Grand Canyon, board our motor coach, and it's right up to the canyon edge. So the Bright Angel Lodge is a beautiful property. You also have the El Tovar right next door, and so some options there for lunch. And then we're really a walk through the back doors of that lodge straight to the rim of the canyon, and beautiful views of the canyon itself. Then another day we take you out to the Verde Canyon, and this is a wonderful train experience on board the Verde Canyon Railroad. We have a first-class car, so very comfortable seating on board, and then we also have an outdoor car. And on board the train, there is a naturalist that joins us and tells us all about the different rock formations and wildlife that are seen in the very lush green canyon. Verde means green, and that is true to itself. So beautiful canyon travel that we enjoy there. Then we also head down to Montezuma's Castle, and you can see that cliff dwelling in the bottom left photo. Over 50 individuals lived in that cliff dwelling back around the 11 or 1200s that it dates to. It was actually discovered again in the 1800s, so only just a couple hundred years ago. But beautiful cliff dwelling of the ancient Sinagua people. So this is a great program. As you can see, there are so many different departures through the fall, as it is such a popular trip. Now with our Colorado Rockies tour, this tour starts and ends in Denver with a one-night stay in the city, and you'll be met at baggage claim by your tour manager, Pat Conway, who will bring you to the Sheraton downtown for a great night in the heart of the city. And there you'll enjoy a welcome dinner as well. We then make our way west and stop at the resort village of Vail for lunch. And Vail is a year-round resort town with a Bavarian-style design throughout the Vail village. And so you'll have time to grab lunch and explore a bit of the village before we make our way to Grand Junction for 2 nights. We then, on day 3, spend the whole day in Utah with 2 highlights, and that is Arches and Canyonlands National Parks. So Arches has over 2,000 beautiful rock formations to take in, and these formations date in some cases to over 50,000 years old. They've been formed by thousands of years of erosion and create a truly unique experience. Then in Canyonlands National Park, we also visit Dead Horse State Park, and that's where you'll take in breathtaking views of the Colorado River Bend that you can see here and the plateau around it. So from Grand Junction, we'll work our way south to Silverton, where we board one of the 2 fantastic train journeys. And this first train journey takes you on a trip back in time to 1882, and that's when the tracks were first laid between Silverton and Durango. That's part of the Denver and Rio Grande rail line. This diesel engine wraps its way through the beautiful landscape of southern Colorado and spends time in the San Juan Mountains. Then we'll arrive into Durango for a 2-night stay, and the following day the tour takes us to Mesa Verde National Park. And there you'll learn about the ancestral Pueblo who lived and thrived here for about 700 years. And that night we also enjoy a chuck wagon dinner show before returning to the hotel. On day 6, you'll travel to the Great Sand Dunes National Park, where you'll find the tallest dunes in North America. And that specific dune towers about 750 feet high, so quite amazing. And the whole dune field incorporates 30 square miles, and it's an incredibly diverse stretch of landscape that incorporates wetlands, forests, and alpine lakes. Then it's off to Colorado Springs for a 3-night stay, The area is home to numerous attractions, and the tour inclusions also feature the Garden of the Gods, the U.S. Olympic Center, and the U.S. Air Force Academy. Then our second rail journey takes place on the Royal Gorge route as you travel along the Arkansas River and taking in views of the Royal Gorge Bridge, which is the world's highest suspension bridge. With 1,000 feet sheer rock walls on either side of the train and the river flowing besides it, you'll see some of the most challenging rapids in the world in the comfort of your rail car. We wrap up the trip with a wonderful farewell dinner before returning to Denver to fly home the next day. So this again, September 18th, and then we also have some 2023 dates coming. Now, the California Rail Journey and Discovery is one of my favorite trips to run as a tour manager, and this is also the last time for 2022 that we'll have the Napa Valley Wine Train. So make sure you sign up if that's an important piece to you. It's a wonderful experience on board a 1910 Pullman car. So that's the true train experience as well as our Amtrak experience over the Sierras. But we'll start this trip in San Francisco with 2 nights in the beautiful city by the bay, getting to learn all about this wonderful area, the Bay Area in the central part of California. So we'll incorporate a city tour as well as a bay cruise, and then we'll work our way up into Muir Woods, and you'll have a chance to go out to the beautiful coastal redwoods at Muir Woods, beautiful trails surrounded by this amazing forest. Then from there, it's off to the Napa Valley, and we take the Napa Valley Wine Train, which is about a 3-hour journey up and back along these beautiful rail lines that stretch through the vineyards, so you're bypassing all sorts of grape growth. And on board the train, we have a gourmet lunch incorporated with multi-course meal, and then you can order as much wine as you want to. Then we also have a stop at a beautiful vineyard there in the Napa Valley before we head off to Sacramento. And we'll be staying 1 night in Sacramento right by the Capitol building, so you have a chance in the morning to go out for a nice morning walk and see the Capitol. And from Sacramento, we board the Amtrak train and head off over the Sierra Nevada mountains. And as we disembark, we get off in a town called Truckee, and this is the north end of Lake Tahoe. So we'll drive around the east side of the lake and make our way to South Lake Tahoe for 3 nights. And there you're right across the street from the casinos and all the action right in the heart of South Lake. The next day we head off to Reno and get to see the National Automobile Museum. And then we also make our way within Nevada to Virginia City. And this is home of the Comstock lode, where silver was discovered in the 1850s. So some great experience and learning there. So again, this is an October 12th departure for 2022. And then we have a couple of dates, June 7th and August 9th already for next year. Again, next year we don't have the Napa Valley Wine Train, so sign up for this year's tour. Then we have the Red Rocks to the Rockies by rail. And this wonderful October 2nd departure will be hosted and managed by Brad Wenzel, one of our many great tour directors. And you'll start out by flying into Grand Junction, Colorado, where you'll spend 1 night and enjoy a welcome dinner with your fellow travelers. Then it's off to the Colorado National Monument, filled with cliffs, mesas, and canyons of stunning geology. And it encompasses about 20,000 acres of wild Colorado wilderness. We continue from there to Moab, Utah for a fantastic 3-night stay. And on our way, we'll stop at a winery to enjoy wine tasting. Then head out the next morning to Arches National Park and learn about the geology as well as human history within the area. And next we're off to Monument Valley, which was the site of many films that were done by John Wayne and others filming the Wild West. So you'll enjoy stories from our Navajo guide as you take a Monument Valley scenic drive tour. And the following day, it's off to Canyonlands National Park, which is the largest national park in the state of Utah. And it was established in 1964 and preserves about 527 square miles of colorful landscape. So enjoy the views from Dead Horse State Park and the point where you can see the beautiful Colorado River. And then in the afternoon of day 5, you'll board the brand new route of the Rocky Mountaineer train. So the Rocky Mountaineer has been running through the Canadian Rockies for decades, but they've introduced this new route a year ago, and we're thrilled to be able to take advantage of its scenic journey from Moab to Denver. Now we'll enjoy 2 days in the Silverleaf class as we travel along the Colorado River, and you'll stay the night in Glenwood Springs before continuing on past lakes, rivers, and national forests, as well as stunning mountains. We, on this train, cross the Continental Divide and arrive into Denver for 2 nights afterwards. So on the last day, we journey to the Rocky Mountain National Park, and that's home to over 100 mountain peaks that exceed 11,000 feet. The snow melt from these stunning mountains flows west to the Pacific and east to the Atlantic. So you're also likely to see some sorts of wildlife here, whether it's mule deer, chipmunks, elk, or the countless species of birds that call the park home. So October 2nd is our only departure for the 2022 tour season, so make sure you hop on board. Now we have some fantastic holiday programs for you coming this year, and we're only talking about 3 of them today. So there are plenty more that you can look into on our website or in the brochure. But our tours fall prior to the actual holidays. That allows you to travel and not miss time with your loved ones. So these are great value programs as the dates are off-peak, and that means lower rates and a better price for you. Now our holiday tours are also a day or 2 shorter than the regular season, and that also reduces the cost. So when it comes to the environment of traveling during the holidays, there's a special energy in these destinations, and special events, lighting ceremonies, and extra festivities in the destinations we select. Now we start with our Smoky Mountains and Pigeon Forge holiday, and that gives you a great taste of Tennessee and North Carolina. This is a wonderful Unpack Once tour and spends 4 nights in Pigeon Forge. So we arrive in Knoxville, which is home of the University of Tennessee. And our second day, we take you into the beautiful state of North Carolina, home to the Tar Heels. So we make our way to the Biltmore Estate, and that was constructed and completed in 1895 for George Washington Vanderbilt. And you'll tour the 250-room chateau with manicured gardens and grounds that will take your breath away. Now, the landscaping here at the Biltmore was actually designed by Frederick Law Olmsted, who was responsible for Central Park and parts of San Francisco as well. So you'll enjoy a fabulous lunch at the estate, and that's been decorated with over 50 trees, as well as a large 35-foot fir tree, wreaths and ornaments, as well as lights all over. So then you'll return to your hotel that evening for an evening at leisure. Then the following day, it's off to the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, and this is a scenic wilderness area that covers over 816 square miles. And it was established back in 1934 to protect a beautiful hardwood forest. So it's also home to some of the highest peaks in the Appalachian Mountains, and designed as a UNESCO Biosphere Reserve in 1976, and then about a decade later, it was noted as a World Heritage Site. So it's also home to many species of animals. That includes black bear, all sorts of foxes, wolves, and wild turkeys as well. In 2021, it was the most visited national park Great Smoky Mountains was, with over 12 million visitors. So our next stop on the tour takes us to the beautiful town of Gatlinburg, and that's kind of the heart of the Smokies. And one of the great specialties of Gatlinburg is the moonshine. So these varying concoctions have been produced in the foothills of the Smoky Mountains for centuries, and we get a chance to try some of it at a tasting. So great experience there. And then we also enjoy some free time in Gatlinburg after the tasting to wander the only ski resort area in the state of Tennessee. Now that evening, we experience a Christmas show with choreography and song, as well as colorful costumes. And the following morning is an easy start to the day and gives you some time to wander the shops and sites of Pigeon Forge. Now, Pigeon Forge was settled back in 1788, and during the Civil War, the old mill in town was actually used by the Union soldiers to create fabric for the soldiers' uniforms. And that afternoon, you'll be able to experience one of the famous sites in town, and that is Dollywood. It was voted as the nation's #1 theme park. And Dollywood Express is a train that will whisk you through the park to different shows, rides, and fun treats. Now, the park is decorated for the holidays with over 5 million lights. It's quite amazing. And we end the day with a wonderful holiday-themed fireworks show. Before flying home, we also make an additional stop on tour to visit the Titanic Museum. And this experience is highlighted by a boarding pass of one of the original passengers. And you'll get to learn their individual story as well as their specific outcome from the disaster. And as you wind your way through the many ship features, you'll also see over 400 artifacts from the ship and its passengers. Now, our New Orleans holiday tour departs November 29th, and some of the highlights of this magical experience include a walking tour of the French Quarter, which was founded back in 1718. The French Quarter is alive with antique shops, historic restaurants, and an original Native American trading post that was turned into a French marketplace, and that dates back to about the 1790s. But we visit a famous cafe known as Café du Monde, and they're known for their beignets. Those are the French-style donuts that you get to try. And then we'll join a steamboat cruise, the Natchez Steamboat, on the Mississippi River to get a taste of the river itself. And that evening, you'll enjoy a cooking demonstration and wonderful dinner at the New Orleans School of Cooking. The following day, we take you on a New Orleans city tour with the Garden District above ground cemetery with ornate headstones and Longview Gardens and Home. Now, the gardens were opened to the public at first in 1968 by the homeowner so that the entire community could enjoy them. And on this trip, we also tour a beautiful antebellum mansion. We stop for a visit at the Oak Alley Plantation, and in its history, over 200 years, it's been a sugar plantation, a cattle ranch, and investment property. But today it's a protected historic site, and we not only tour the home, but also the gardens and many exhibits on display. Then on day 4, you have numerous options at your fingertips. You can choose to explore the World War II Museum, which is the best in the country. You could go to Mardi Gras World or explore the New Orleans city at your own pace with some of the ideas you took from the city tour. That evening, we have dinner at the Court of Two Sisters, which is a legendary restaurant, and it's had facilities on site since 1726. So you'll enjoy an excellent Cajun and Creole meal as a farewell. And before we finish, it's off to the Celebration in the Oaks. That's City Park's largest fundraiser. So Celebration in the Oaks is the New Orleans holiday family tradition, and its incredible light festival has been operating since the 1980s. It's vital to the park's maintenance, care, and beautification year-round. And it sees about 200,000 visitors each year for the special event full of lights and music. So again, November 29th, getting a chance to see New Orleans during the holidays. And San Antonio Holiday Tour, this is one of my favorites around the Christmas time. We depart November 30th on this tour for 5 days, incorporating 6 meals. And we start out by flying in and out of San Antonio. And over the years I've spent in San Antonio, it's definitely grown on me. It's a beautiful city that continues to expand and add more neighborhoods and outskirts. But we start out with a city tour of San Antonio, and that also features Mission San Jose. So it's a little bit of a drive outside of downtown, but you get to learn about the Spanish missions that were originally incorporated in Texas. Then we also spend time in downtown San Antonio, learning about the Riverwalk, as well as the famous Alamo. So we get to visit the Alamo itself. We also see an IMAX movie, and then spend time for lunch at the El Mercado Marketplace. And that's a great place to grab a bite to eat. Then we also spend a afternoon. We have tickets on the Riverwalk for a river cruise to learn all about the architecture around us. And then head off into the hill country. And we head up to Fredericksburg, which is a German-themed town. And it's also home to a beautiful World War II museum named after one of its residents, Admiral Nimitz of the U.S. Navy. So we see that. We also work our way over to the LBJ Ranch, Lyndon B. Johnson's ranch and National Historic Park. And so we do a tour not only of the house, but also the facilities, and get to see all of his televisions. He had one in each room to make sure he was keeping up on the news. Then we head down into Austin for an optional tour. So we get to see the state capitol there in Austin and a couple of great museums as well. Learn all about the history of Texas there. One of my favorite components of this trip is during the holidays in San Antonio, on their cathedral facade, they actually do a light show, and it shows the entire history of Texas as it developed from the Spanish times on to present day. And it's combined with music at the same time, so it really is quite an enjoyable experience. Also, during our time in Austin, we stop at the Presidential Library for Lyndon B. Johnson. So make sure you join us for November 30th San Antonio Holiday Tour. Then, as we work our way into our international programs, our October 29th departure on the Wonders of the Danube is a celebration of our 40th anniversary. It's going to be fun, exciting, and very special. Longtime tour managers Deb Howard and Chris McCool will be hosting the wonderful journey along the Danube River and highlighting some of the great cities of Europe. So you'll arrive in Budapest and head to the Amadeus Star for 7 nights aboard this beautiful new ship. So we were just on board a few months ago, seeing this beautiful ship in action, and it really is a wonderful, luxurious way to travel. So this is a great way to unpack and settle in on board the ship. And with all of our river cruises, we incorporate free wine and beer as well as soft drinks with dinner. We also incorporate free Wi-Fi on board, so you can keep in touch with folks back home. But we'll head from Budapest, we'll do a city tour there, and then make our way out to Bratislava. Now, Bratislava is a highlight for me on this program, and it's usually the unexpected areas that turn into some of your favorites. So the Old Town is charming. It's got restaurants, cafes, and shops lining both sides of the cobblestone streets. And you'll also see the home of the Philharmonic Orchestra, along with the Palace and St. Martin's Cathedral on the city tour. Then we're off to a town called Dürnstein, as well as Vienna. Within our Vienna city tour, we also have the option of visiting the Schönbrunn Palace, and that's where the Habsburg dynasty is from, where they lived in this beautiful palatial estate. So you have a chance to tour that. And then in Dürnstein, this is part of the Wachau Valley, and it's a stretch of wine growth, grape growth, all through this area. So one of the great wine regions of Europe. From there, it's off to Milk, and the beautiful town with its gorgeous abbey, and then to Linz. Now, Linz is our hop-off point for our day trip out to Salzburg, and Salzburg is where many of the scenes from The Sound of Music are filmed. So a great way to explore that as well. Then it's off to Passau in Germany, and then to Regensburg. And Regensburg is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, combines both Bavarian-style homes as well as medieval city center. And then you can choose to fly home from there, from Munich, or you can extend your trip to 2 nights in Prague. And most people decide to do that because it's a great way to add another country on your list, and Prague is a wonderful experience in Eastern Europe. So again, October 29th of this year, 9 days and 20 meals incorporated for our 40th anniversary. Now with our Vienna and Christmas markets of the Danube River Cruise, it's a bit different in terms of the itinerary, and it's also a very unique time of year to travel. So this incredible journey highlights a special time of year to be in Germany and Austria. And there's a magic in Europe at that time of year with the Christmas markets opening in late November each year. So these markets are filled with beautiful ornaments, great holiday gifts for family and friends, as well as some incredible food and drink. Whether it's the giant German pretzels or bratwurst, hot chocolate, or mulled red wine. So we land in Frankfurt and incorporate the Christmas market in the city. Now, Frankfurt's one of the leaders in business and has become a very modern city, but still keeps its roots with a historic downtown. From there, it's off to Rothenburg, and that's where we take a walking tour as well as stop at the Christmas market there. Now, each market has unique items and traditions based on the region, so you'll find different and specialty items at each of the markets along the way, and your tour managers will help you discover the unique pieces to each of the towns. Now, as we continue, we arrive into Nuremberg, where we board the Amadeus Queen, and the Queen was built in 2018. It's a very comfortable home for 6 nights as we travel down the Danube in style. Now, another unique component of the Queen is that in the aft of the ship, in the Amadeus Club, there's a pool to enjoy, and that's different from most other river cruise ships. In Nuremberg, we not only learn about the history of the city, but also the Nuremberg trials from World War II. As we sail southeast, we make a stop in Regensburg. As I mentioned, it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And then other highlights on this cruise are the optional tour to Salzburg, our Vienna city tour, and one of Europe's largest Christmas markets within Vienna, along with a visit to the Melk Abbey, which was built in 1700s we get some great time to explore not only the river, but several of the varying towns and cities along it. So a wonderful program with 9 days. We include 18 meals, and these are gourmet multi-course lunches and dinners on board the ship, along with all of our breakfasts included. So please join us on the Danube this fall and winter. Now for our England, Scotland, and Wales tour, we'll fly into Edinburgh, and for our first 2 nights on this trip. So one thing I can share about Scotland is that it's one of the friendliest countries in the world. They are such hospitable people that welcome you with open arms. And we include an Edinburgh city tour that features the iconic castle dating to the 12th century. But they've had a military establishment on that hill, Castle Rock, for over 3,000 years. But it continued as a royal residence until the 1600s. So you can't go to Scotland without enjoying a Scotch tasting, and that traditional whiskey has been an integral part of Scottish society for centuries. And we move along to York from Edinburgh and learn about the Roman roots dating to 71 AD. You'll see the York Abbey, which is one of the most beautiful cathedrals in all of Europe. And next it's off to Stratford-upon-Avon, and that's where we learn all about William Shakespeare, his birthplace, and much of his work. We incorporate a visit to Bristol, which is a historic port city on the Avon River, as well as a day in Cardiff, Wales, so you can knock another country off your list. And in Cardiff, we see its castle, the soccer stadium, as well as the National Museum on tour. Then the following day, it's off to Bath and Stonehenge. Bath is a historic site dating to Roman times where a Roman bath fed by natural hot springs can be found. And one of the highlights, not just of the day, of the trip, but of day specifically, is getting to visit Stonehenge. And Stonehenge is one of the most famous sites in the entire world. The first monument was an early henge monument built about 5,000 years ago, and the stone circle was erected in the late Neolithic period, around 2500 BC. So unbelievable sight to take in. Then we head off to London for 3 nights, a beautiful 3-night stay in the finest of European cities. And included in our time in London are a city tour, and that focuses on Kensington Palace, the Tower of London, and Big Ben. You'll also see Westminster Abbey and the changing of the guard if the timing is right. Now, they don't do it every single day, so there's a chance we don't see it, but again, we can always try. The next day is at leisure to explore on your own or join an optional tour to Windsor Castle. And with Windsor Castle, the original was built in the 11th century, and it's split into several wards and apartments. So we enjoy a farewell dinner that night before flying home from London the next morning. Scotland and Northern Ireland is a program that we start out by flying into the Republic of Ireland, but it's a quick transition to the north where we stay 2 nights in Belfast. Now, Belfast is home of one of the largest ports in the UK and was home of much of the construction of the HMS Titanic. So as part of this experience, we spend time at the Titanic Museum in Belfast, and they really do spend time honoring and remembering the over 2,000 people on board when it sank. So we continue our time in the north with a drive to the stunning Giant's Causeway. And the landscape here is a result of ancient volcanic eruption. That left us with over 40,000 interlocked basalt columns that raise up from the ocean. And you can see it in the picture down to the right. Absolutely beautiful. So in 1986, it was noted as a UNESCO World Heritage Site as well, but we get to enjoy a trip out there. From Belfast, we continue by ferry across to Glasgow, where we enjoy 1 night in the fabulous university town and include a city tour with the impressive Glasgow Cathedral. Then it's off to the Lakes District in the north as we travel to Inverness for a 2-night stay. As part of our stay, you'll learn a little bit about the filming of the show series Outlander, as well as a visit to 2 of the most famous lakes in all of Scotland, and that's Loch Lomond with a length of about 24 miles and depth up to 600 feet. And then we also travel out to the amazing Loch Ness. So we're in search of the famous Loch Ness Monster and seeing Scotland's 2nd largest lake. Then we drive over the Skye Bridge to the Isle of Skye, and this quiet gem of Scotland is breathtaking and picturesque. small fishing villages and medieval castles along our way. So our last day will be in Edinburgh, where we stop at probably the most famous golf course in the entire world. That's St. Andrews, where the game was first played over 600 years ago. Our city tour of Edinburgh includes the castle, home of the Scottish crown jewels, the Palace of Holyrood House, and much, much more. So we also enjoy a Scotch tasting as well as our farewell dinner filled with entertainment and great food. But again, the two England and Scotland programs are October 3rd for the year. Then our Treasures of Ireland tour. Now this combines both the Republic of Ireland as well as Northern Ireland. And we'll start out by flying into Dublin and stay one night there before working our way up to the north. And there we'll spend time in Belfast, seeing the Belfast Titanic Museum and Giant's Causeway. Then we also work our way to the west of Ireland and head out to the town of Limerick and spend 2 nights there. That's where the famous book Angela's Ashes was written. From Limerick, we head out to the Cliffs of Moher, and you can see that pictured in the upper left-hand corner, just an unbelievable stretch of landscape. And from there, it's off to Galway. Now, Galway is a beautiful university town right out on the coast, and an amazing cathedral there as well. From there, we continue down south to Killarney, and Killarney is a beautiful village, town, small city, if you will. And we continue out on a tour of the Ring of Kerry. So the Kerry Peninsula is a big stretch that jets out into the Atlantic Ocean. And we do a big loop tour around the ring, talking about all the famous individuals that were based around Southern Ireland at the time. We head back to the east, and on our way we stop at the Blarney Castle for a chance to kiss the Blarney Stone. We also have a chance to visit the Blarney Woolen Mills, and that's where this beautiful sheep's fur is turned into blankets as well as clothing. So you get a chance to look at some of those as well. And then it's off to Dublin, and that's where we enjoy a city tour that features the Book of Kells. And we also incorporate a Jameson whiskey tour and tasting. So this departure is October 11th for 2022. Now, our Tuscany culinary experience is one I'm really excited about because I get to lead it. And Italy is my favorite country to travel to outside the U.S. And with this program, it's an Unpack Once tour. So we stay 7 nights in the Chianti region, just south of Florence. And each day is a great little journey to the different areas around Tuscany. So we'll start out with 1 full day of sightseeing in the city of Florence, which is the home of the Italian Renaissance. And not only is Italy full of great food, great wine, but also amazing history and art. And the center of that art and architecture is based in the city of Florence. So not only do we see the Statue of David by Michelangelo, we also get to see the famous Ponte Vecchio Bridge, which is the old bridge that used to house all the gold shops. And the city itself is just absolutely amazing with the cathedral and the dome built by Brunelleschi. So there were several different art competitions throughout the years in the Renaissance, not only for the baptistry doors, but also for the dome, and Brunelleschi won the dome. Now, as we make our way outside of Florence, we'll also get to stop in some great cities like Siena, with its famous Il Palio horse race. That's the race of the different neighborhoods that get on horseback and ride through the city square. And we also visit the town of San Gimignano, which is pictured in the right side. So both pictures on the right are of San Gimignano. One is the city center and Piazza della Cisterna. So the cistern or well is right in the center square there. And the city itself is built with originally 16 towers from the medieval times. Now, over its history, about 3 of those towers were destroyed, but still keeps a lot of its original charm. And there we get to do a gelato tasting with one of the gelato masters of Italy and San Gimignano specifically. Then it's off to Volpaia. Volpaia is a castle up on a hill that was turned over to a new family in the 1960s, but they started creating wine as well as olive oil out of this beautiful castle property. And wine is actually flowing through the streets of the pipes within that town. So it really is quite an amazing experience there. Then we head down south. We get to see the town of Pienza and a fantastic farm that we visit. And in that farm, they're producing pecorino cheese, and that is sheep's cheese. So we get to learn from our good friend Giuseppe all about the sheep cheese process, and they infuse it with all sorts of different herbs and spices to make it more flavorful as well. But you can actually take this cheese home. It's packaged just properly to be able to travel. Then we also visit Montalcino on this tour. This is a great wine region that's famous for Brunello wines and making wine with music. So they actually play music for the vines as they're growing. Then it's off to Lake Trasimeno, and this is where we take a boat cruise over across to one of the main islands for lunch. And we also incorporate a lunch at a saffron producing farmhouse just outside of San Gimignano. So some great options, great wine and food experiences on this tour. Again, I'll be leading the October 11th departure, but we also have a November 15th tour for the year. Now, Athens and the Greek Isles, this is a great experience to get a chance to see what Greece has to offer. So not only do we have an October 4th departure this year, just a few spaces left, we also have some dates coming up for 2023 that we'll talk about later on. So this is a 9-day program, but also an optional extension of 3 nights to the north. But we'll start out by flying into Athens. We'll work our way around on a city tour, and that incorporates the Olympic Stadium, as well as the Acropolis and the Parthenon. Then we'll make our way by high-speed ferry out to Mykonos, and this is a beautiful island with amazing architecture, and we do a Delos walking tour, the Isle of Delos, as well, so we'll take another boat out there. We do a tour of Mykonos, and as well stay 2 nights in Santorini, and we'll take the high-speed ferry back across into Athens for an additional night at the end. Then, as part of our northern Greece tour, we go up to Kalimbaka, Delphi, and 1 night in Athens. So great program, 9 days and 10 meals, both this year and 2023. So again, as I mentioned before, we have several show specials for folks attending today. And if you book a new 2022 tour or river cruise by Thursday, August 4th, we brought the deposit down to $199. Generally, it's at about $350. Our recent brochure brought it down to $299, but we're taking an additional $100 off to reserve your space on these programs. So $199. We're also offering a 1-category upgrade on our Wonders of the Danube River Cruise, our Christmas Markets River Cruise, and 2023's Holland and the Waterways River Cruise. So make sure you book by then, by next Thursday. Again, with the category upgrades, the suites are not applicable, but any other categories are. And we'll also take an additional $20 off your travel protection plan or travel insurance if you pay with your deposit. But again, book by next Thursday, August 4th, and use the code ABOARD. Now, how do you book? You can email Joe, Holly, or April at afctours.com. You can also call us at 1-800-369-3693 or visit our website, afcvacations.com, and there's a section with forms that you can start your reservation. But the easiest way is email or call and talk to any of our representatives. They'll be able to assist you in the process. But again, by next Thursday, make sure you use the code ABOARD. Thank you again for attending, and please email any questions to April at afctours.com. And add us on Facebook as well. We'll keep you up to date with everything going on. Thank you again, and we look forward to the next one with you.